everyone, and welcome to another vlog. This month, you guys actually got to vote on a poll pick for what sort of vlog we were going to be doing. You had three different choices. We had a tackle my TBR vlog, a 25 books to read in 2025 vlog, or a 24/48 hour readathon. So now all of the polls that we had this month were pretty much neck and neck. I always post a poll on Instagram for you guys to vote on, but you can also leave comments down below. The Instagram polls, because they're on my stories, only last for 24 hours. So you sort of have to be in it right away in order to vote that way. However, obviously, if you decide to leave a comment a couple days after I post the video, or sometimes even longer, I do still count them if I haven't done the thing yet. And let me tell you, the people that have commented on my TBR for the poll picks, you actually pushed it over because they were so close. But for this video today, two things were still pretty much evenly tied. And that was my Tackle My TBR and the 24/48 hour readathon. So what I decided to do, because I thought it would be really fun and maybe slightly challenging, is to combine them. We are gonna do a Tackle My TBR style video, but also doing a 24 in 48 hour marathon. So basically what that means is I'm gonna be, for the next 48 hours, attempting to read as much as possible to hopefully reach 24 hours-ish read. Right now it's about 11:15 on Saturday. I do have some stuff we're doing this weekend. Presley has a birthday party this afternoon, but we're gonna be attempting as much reading as possible from now until Monday around the same time, 11:15. So what I've done, because I want to try and get as much done as possible, is I have compiled a list, I'll put it up here for you, of all the books that I own pretty much that are under 250 pages, because I feel like those are one sitting reads. So what I'm going to do is do a random number generator or roll a dice or whatever throughout this video to pick what we're going to read. And as you can see here, we have a few different things. I have some Star Trek books, I have some middle grade, I have some romance, I have some sci-fi. I also have at the very bottom manga, comics, and graphic novels, because I just sort of figured those things are going to be quick to read no matter what. And I didn't want to have too many of those on this list. But if that pops up, I do think that'd be a really good palate cleanser in between everything else that I'm reading. So what we're gonna be doing today is picking our first book, because these are all books that I have on my TBR that I need to read, and they are under 250 pages. This actually runs the gamut from about 132 pages, which is my shortest actual novel, all the way up to 244 pages. That's right before I hit 250. If we get through quite a few of these, I do think I have a couple things that are 256 I could add on here, but I did like the fact that I basically had 19 books that were under 250 pages, and then I added on the comic, graphic novel, and manga section. So we have an even 20, so that hopefully I can roll a d20. But because I'm over here right now and my dice is all the way over there, I think we're gonna start with a random number generator. Is this a bad decision? I don't know, maybe, but I think that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna pull up, I guess, just the Google random number generator. Okay, and I do have it from 1 to 20. It started with the number 5 that you can see on here. That is not what I generated. I didn't generate anything. It originally had 1 to 10, so I'm gonna do 1 to 20, and we're gonna generate 17. Okay, so this is gonna be one of the longer books I have on this list because of the fact that I started with the lowest number at 1 and then went up to the highest. So number 17 is A Highlander for Hannah by Mary Warren. It's 241 pages. Okay, and so it's gonna be this one here. This was actually a gift from Nikki. Thank you so much. I have been very intrigued by this. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be an indie author, an indie book. It's gonna be romance. I'm very excited. It has a plus-sized, fat, main female character. Hannah Glenn is ready for a change. After quitting her job and breaking up with her slacker boyfriend, she moves to her family's farm. In her search for clarity, she let her best friend talk her into buying a love spell. Hannah doesn't believe in magic, but decides to perform the spell anyway. What harm could it do? The ancient, brutish, and also undeniably handsome Scotsman she finds in her barn the next morning might be the answer to the question. Okay, so yes, romance with a little bit of magic. I am so down for that. Apparently he's from 1745. So this is going to be our first pick. I'm very excited for this. And like I said, under 250 pages. Hopefully this is quick to get through. Not in a bad way. Like, I don't want it to feel like, oh, I only want short things because I want to rush through them. I'm not gonna rush. But I just thought it would be fun to see how many books we can fit in a 24 in 48 versus like if I was just doing a tackle my TBR normally, I probably would have taken a week to try and fit in as many books as I could. So yeah, I'm very excited to try this one out. Okay, so first update. Presley had his birthday party that he went to for a little boy from his school, and he had a lot of fun. It was at like a sort of like a Nerf place where they got to like shoot each other with Nerf guns. So because of that, and because we had to have lunch before we left, I only got like 30 something pages, 39 pages into a Highlander for Hannah by Mary Warren. It is basically like the setup of what I explained on the back. She has this sort of like epiphany at her job where she's just like not going to go anywhere. She works at a law firm. I think she is a lawyer. No matter what she does, how much she works, the men are always promoted before her. And now the skinny women are also promoted before her, even when it was like her work that was doing stuff. So she's decided to quit. And then at the same time, she also comes home to her apartment or whatever and finds her boyfriend there playing video games when he does not live with her, and is apparently quit his job as well and it wants her to like float him for everything. She also decides to break up with him and go to her parents' farm upstate in upstate New York and take care of the horses and whatnot. She meets her friend and they go to like a Renaissance fair, and while there, they find like a fortune teller tent and buy a love spell that she actually does on like what, the spring equinox or something like that. And the next morning she wakes up and she now has a Highlander from 1745 in her hayloft. So that is basically the premise. It definitely feels sort of like a quick jump into the story because like I said, it's only been like 39 pages, but I think part of it is just like to get that setup going. It's not like it's like too quick. It feels sort of like almost like Hallmark romance in a way where it's like, we gotta get the setup going. Let's get into like the good meat of the story. And so far, so good. I definitely want to continue that. The party that we went to for Presley was about 30 minutes away each way. So I did decide to listen to an audiobook. So because of that, I didn't roll again for another book because I could only find one from my whole list that I showed you earlier as an audiobook. And that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So I listened to it on the way there and on the way back. So about an hour's worth of this. And I am now like 32% in, like 80 something pages. I think it's like approximately 87 pages. So far, really, really enjoying it. This starts off, I think it's like different stories throughout, but the first one was called The Lovers, and it basically follows a girl who goes to this cafe with her boyfriend and sort of ends up breaking up with him there. Like, she didn't break up with him, but like gets broken up with sort of thing. And he decides to leave Japan and go to the United States. And she then comes back because she has heard that you can actually travel back in time by going to this cafe and sitting in a specific chair. And like I said, so far, I'm really, really enjoying it. I did finish the whole first story, and now we're moving into the second one. And this was on my list because on Goodreads, for some reason, I think I had it marked as the paperback version, which was under 250 pages. But this actual version I have here, the hardcover, is 270 something. So technically, it's more than my amount of what I was trying to do. But I only have like 2 hours and 13 minutes left in the audiobook. Like, it is still very quick to read. And that's not too much of a difference between one version to the next, because that happens. Page numbers are going to change. So I'm not like mad about it. So I'm going to now, as my husband and his parents cook dinner, move back into a Highlander for Hannah so that I have something to read. But I think I'm going to be focusing on those two. And like when you really think about it, yes, this is 270 something pages. But if this wasn't on my list of things, I wouldn't have had an audiobook at all. And I do like to listen to audiobooks when I know I'm going somewhere that's going to take me a little while to do. So ultimately, I read more because of the audiobook with a slightly longer book than if I didn't have that, which is fine. So now, like I said, we're going to move back into this one here and we'll see how much we can finish before dinner time. Okay, so it is now just about 11:15 the next day. We've hit almost exactly 24 hours, and I have read for a total of like 3.5 hours. This is how much my Bookly app says. So like yesterday I listened to an hour of an audiobook, and I read for like almost another hour and a half plus that by 10 something last night before I went to bed. So I wasn't even quite at 12 hours yet. And then this morning, you know, we woke up, had breakfast, all that kind of stuff. And then I did finish this book, which took almost another hour. So like total 3.5 hours. Some of my stuff with this, especially, like I had 2 hours to read this and I did finish it, but I had to like stop in the middle to do stuff with the kids, that kind of thing. So I feel like we're doing pretty well. Like, yes, obviously, I don't think I'm gonna exactly hit a whole 24 hours of reading in 48, even though that would be amazing. We're just gonna do as much as we can. We're at about the halfway point now. And like I said, I did finish this morning. I think I'm gonna give it like a 3.5. I have been debating a little bit between like a 3.5 and a 4. I just don't quite think it's a 4. And because I don't do quarter ratings, I only do up to half stars, I think I'm gonna go with the 3.5 because I do think this was pretty good. I think some of the writing was a little bit quick in a way where like I wanted a little bit more details about certain aspects of this story. So every so often we would get details about the characters and some of the relationships, but then like it would like speed past stuff. I think I mentioned before that this sort of stuff happens on the equinox, and I think I said spring equinox. That was when like he was supposed to go back to the 1700s in Scotland. So like she, I guess, first used the love spell on the fall equinox. Is it still autumn equinox? Something like that. And so he had like 6 months to do things. So I got those mixed up a little bit. So we went through like the fall and Thanksgiving and Christmas and that kind of stuff. And this is only 240 something pages. And we went through so many holidays and there was so much stuff going on with her family. But the stuff that was going on with her family was very small. Like it was a small bit of this. Like I sort of wanted, because there was supposed to be a little bit more conflict with certain aspects of the story, I was hoping for more details with that. I will say the steam in here, the spice in here, is very well written. There's quite a bit in here for only 200 and something pages. So like that is a plus. I liked the idea of this. I feel like it would be a very easy movie almost to put together, like a rom-com type movie. Everything that happened, especially like with how we went very quickly between like Thanksgiving to Christmas and things like that, it felt montagey. Like I feel like that's where it was going. And so it's not like this is a bad book or anything. I was just hoping for a little bit more, and I don't think I liked it enough to give it a 4, even though I think it is in between that 3.5 to 4 star. I definitely want to try more by this author. I don't know if this was her first book or not, but it's at least the first book in this series, and it seems like there should be like her friend getting a spin-off, because there is a little bit in the back about how we're gonna see Poppy instead of just Hannah and Graham. I will also mention that she included in her author note a content warning, so there is graphic sexual content. There was quite a bit of it. Minor injury, failing health of a parent, supporting character dealing with internal fat phobia. Since this is all written from Hannah and Graham's point of view, the side character dealing with internal fat phobia is actually her mom, just so you know, in the way that she knows her mom has a disordered look at eating, likes to diet a lot, and occasionally makes comments about, hey, you're like me, let's have a salad versus this. So we don't get to see the internalized fat phobia, but we do get to see it come out a little bit in that way. I did like how everything was handled in here. I just was wishing for a little bit more. So like if this was a longer book, I think I would have liked it better. Because otherwise I don't really have any qualms about writing style or anything like that. So yeah. Now, I did mention that I'm listening to an audiobook. I am still listening to that. I will probably listen to that more today as well because I need to fold some laundry and stuff. But I want to now pick our next one that I'm probably gonna do physically. So we will go back to my random number generator just because I think that's gonna be the easiest for us. And again, when you pull it up, it starts with the number 5, even though I left the screen on my phone, like I saved it as a page. It didn't stay on where it was before, which I think was 17. So let's generate from 1 to 20 what our next one should be. 12. Okay, 12 is The Entropy Effect by Vonda and McIntyre, which is Star Trek. So this is the cover I have here. It is not the cover that I like the best, but it is only 224 pages total, it looks like. It does not look like there's like any acknowledgements or anything in the back, so that last page is the last page. The one thing I will say is this might feel a little bit longer than some of my other stuff because the text is quite small, but I do feel like this should still be okay. Under 250 pages, we'll see exactly how long it takes. And so on the back, it says, the universe has less than a century left unless Spock can change history. The Enterprise is summoned to transport a dangerous criminal from Starbase prison to a rehabilitation center. Brilliant physicist Dr. Jorges Monroe? Whoa, I'm not sure. Accused of promising to send people back in time, then killing them instead. But when Monroe escapes, bursts onto the bridge, and kills Captain Kirk, Spock must journey back in time to avert disaster before it occurs. Now there's more at stake than just Kirk's life. Monroe's experiments have thrown the entire universe into a deadly time warp. Spock is fighting time, and the universe is closing in on itself with the relentless squeeze of the Entropy Effect. So, it's been a while since I've read a Star Trek novel. These are all the original series Star Trek things because that's what I prefer. Some I have read and absolutely loved, and some I have hated with a fiery passion or DNF'd because they were just not characterized right. Like, I feel like none of these are like canon, so this is almost like Star Trek fan fiction, but like they were commissioned to do this. You still need to have characters feel like those characters. And if you can do that right and have it feel like that same sort of universe, I usually love it. So, I guess that's our pick. Chips. Plain chips?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want?
I want cheesy Doritos.
Okay.
Baba.
Okay, so it is 3:20. Obviously, it's taken me some time to like read the book with the kids and all that kind of stuff. We had lunch. I have been reading this. I've been reading this for over an hour. I am on page 73. Kids are playing in the playroom. 73, page 73, which means the prologue, chapter 1, and chapter 2. Those are too long of chapters for me. But my biggest thing with this is we are not even to the summary. None of this has happened. I'm not thinking this is necessarily a horrible book, but it is so fucking slow right now. Like, none of that. None of the time travel, none of the Kirk dying, nothing seems interesting at all. One thing I will say is we have these characters here. Obviously, we have Spock and Kirk, and I was thinking, Maybe we had the guy we're gonna see. No, that's Sulu. They gave him a mustache and shoulder-length hair for who knows what reason. They also gave him a female security officer, like she's the main security officer on the ship, that they're sort of in love with. And like, I just feel like if we're gonna be talking about like the bad things in fan fiction, the like Mary Sue-ness, you hear all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think she's necessarily a Mary Sue, but is she a self-insert? I don't know. What is her reasoning for being there? I don't know. I think I'm gonna DNF this. I really feel like if we got into what the actual summary is about, because I'm very intrigued by the time travel sort of aspect on here, the Kirk being out of commission in a horrible way, obviously, and Spock having to figure things out, like that sounds perfect for me. We're not there. I have read for over an hour. I'm probably about 30% of the way through the book, maybe a whole third, I don't know. It's gonna take me at least 2 more hours to finish this, and I just don't really want to. I will say an intriguing aspect of this is that they do introduce another female character that Kirk has known in the past, which I feel like they do quite often in these stories. Kirk is usually sort of like a womanizer, or like definitely super flirty with all the women, and that's actually not really the case here, but they do mention this woman whose name is Hunter, like Madonna, just Hunter, and based on some of the stuff that they've mentioned, she feels Native American coded, but also in here she's also poly, like she has a group that she's a part of, and he mentions that there's like 8 or 9 people in this group and they raise their children together, and I guess they love each other, and he has been invited to this group multiple times and keeps saying no, but now he thinks he might have regretted it. We'll see. I mean, actually I won't see, I'm not gonna read this, but I liked the idea of that, and he even mentions that he could have loved the whole group, which is intriguing to me. So even though this is sci-fi, and I do prefer my sci-fi to be queer normative, this was written like in the 70s or 80s. I think it was like 80 something. So usually this sci-fi is not queer normative, but the fact that they put that in there, that is very queer normative. You know what I mean? So like, I was happy to see that in here, even though I didn't like the addition of the other female security officer as a love interest for Sulu, type of thing. Like, it just feels very different that way. And because of that, these 3 characters are really the only ones that we've gotten to see here. Like, Scotty and Uhura and McCoy, they're like not really in here at all. We've had a couple name drops, but like, they just like, they're not in here. They've only picked 3 of the characters. And so, like I said, while I do think the writing style is not bad, we never got to the where I wanted to be. And after an hour and 70 something pages, I'm done. So what that means is we now need to pick another book. Pulling up that generator one more time. Let's generate number 2. Okay, so I think I mentioned before, my low numbers are low page numbers as well. So 2 should be a very short book. The Incredible Journey by Sheila Burnford. Okay, so The Incredible Journey by Sheila Burnford. This is only 100 and something pages. Very, very big text. Like, this is gonna be a breeze to get through, which I think I really need. And if anybody else is a millennial like me, have you seen this movie? Have you seen The Incredible Journey? Did you cry? Yes, I did, multiple times. And apparently I'm gonna torture myself and read the book. So, yeah, basically the premise of this one is there's 2 dogs and a cat, and the family like goes on vacation, I'm pretty sure it was, and they board their pets somewhere instead of taking them with them, and then the pets escape and try and get back home because they wanted to go back home to their kids. So, yeah, 3 runaway pets. I'm gonna do it. I'm hoping this is very similar to the movie in a way, because I have seen it before and I sort of know what to expect, but we'll see. When was this one published? This is probably also a very old book. Originally published in 1961, it looks like, 1960 or 1961. So yeah. Okay, so it is almost 5 o'clock. This took me like an hour. I read The Incredible Journey. It's a book. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I knew going into it was probably not gonna be the same as the movie, which I do remember enjoying, although like I said, I cried. But I think my biggest thing with this is it was written, what, in like the 1961? So like, the way it's written is not my favorite thing. It is very much, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. One thing I really remember liking about the movie is the animals talk. Like, it is all from their perspective, and this pretty much is the same thing, all from their perspective. They don't talk in this, so we just get descriptions of things happening, and a lot of them are animals trying to survive in the wilderness, and not so good things happening. So like, there's animal death and stuff in here because these animals are having to catch their own food and tear them apart and eat them. So like, that kind of stuff happens. They do get injured through fights with other dogs and bears and a porcupine and things like that. So like, it is not a happy story, but at the same time, you don't really get to know much about the characters in 140 something pages that took me an hour to read as you do in the movie. Like, I just really remember liking that more. So like, it was fine. I think I felt more like emotions near the end of this because I knew the movie, and it does follow the premise pretty much. I will say in here, the animals feel a little bit more like running away on purpose versus like a mix-up sort of thing that happened in the movie. Like, I feel like the movie fleshed everything out better, especially because the animals talked. So it was fine. 3 stars. It's a book. Now, because it is almost 5, but not quite, I'm going to roll another time. I think we can finish my audiobook that I have not listened at all to today, but I will make that a priority as well. And potentially one more book. Like I said, I think I want to roll one more time, and because I didn't close my number generator last time, it actually is still on the numbers that I had last time. So last time was number 2, and we have through 20. So let's generate 14. Okay. Something from the Nightside by Simon R. Green. So this is Something from the Nightside. I believe this is the first book in a series, so that's a thing. It is mass market, although it's pretty floppy, which is good, and the text does not seem too small. So this shouldn't take me too crazy to do. Taylor is the name, John Taylor. Okay. My card says I'm a detective, but what I really am is an expert on finding lost things. It's part of the gift I was born with as a child of the Nightside. I left there a long time ago with my skin and sanity barely intact. Now I make my living in the sunlit streets of London. But business has been slow lately, so when Joanna Barrett showed up at my door, reeking of wealth, asking me to find her runaway teenage daughter, I didn't say no. Then I found out exactly where the girl had gone. The Nightside. That square mile of hell in the middle of the city where it's always 3 a.m. Where you can walk beside myths and drink with monsters. Where nothing is as it seems and everything is possible. I swore I'd never return. But there's a kid in danger and a woman depending on me, so I have no choice. I'm going home. That reads very noir detective to me, but this is supposed to be sort of paranormal, I'm pretty sure. Like he said, he has some sort of power where he can find lost things. I've had this for a long time, so I'm excited to try it out. Good morning, everyone. It is about 9:15, which means I have 2 hours until we hit our 48-hour mark. I read quite a bit of Something from the Nightside by Simon R. Green last night. Like, this is where I am. I am at least 2/3 of the way in. It says I have about 40 minutes left. Because it has been very, very quick to read. I will say it's very noir style, which I'm not 100% sure I enjoy. And then the Nightside area that we're in is very dark. They have lots of like really dark descriptions of stuff, probably lots of content warnings and things. I don't know if they would have a full list of content warnings anywhere because this is a book that came out a while ago. I've had it for years. And so I really need to get to the end to see if this is a series I want to continue with or not, because of the fact that like this is the first book in a series. And it's not necessarily bad. I just don't really know exactly where we're going. One thing I will say for this is the back part of this book happened within the first, I don't know, 20, 30 pages. So like we're really, most of the story is what happens next, which I do enjoy. Like, I don't want to really get into like spoilers and stuff, but it is really about him trying to find this woman's daughter who is somehow in the Nightside, which is not like a good area. The woman decided to come with him. They've been trying to push it, not exactly as a romance, but like, you know how like the noir is like, oh, this woman came in and she, you know, was mysterious and things. And like, they do sort of do that. And so that's part of the reason where I'm like, it's very like noir-esque. Like if that's something that you enjoy, like it's very reminiscent of that. And he does have this sort of finder power. We don't know like a ton about it, but it is obviously paranormal and stuff in that way. Because like the Nightside is like this place under London somehow where it's always night, it's always 3 a.m., it's always dangerous, but you can find things that you wouldn't necessarily find in like the real world and stuff. So definitely need to continue this. Yesterday also, while I was sort of helping with dinner, I listened to one more story in Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I think my copy is upstairs somewhere. I'm really, really enjoying this one. Like if it keeps going the way I think it's gonna go, it's gonna be 5 stars. Like I have absolutely been loving this. This story did deal more with Alzheimer's and stuff, so I know people are like, this is a very heart-wrenching story, and the fact that this cafe does have like the ability to sort of have a time travel, but like it makes you think about why these things would be happening, why these people would potentially want to go back to a place in time. Really, really enjoying it. So I also have like an hour and a bit in that one because I have 2 stories left. So, like I said, I have about 2 hours left and I need to finish those 2 things. Like that's my goal. So we've had breakfast. The kids are here. Presley's doing Minecraft and stuff.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Minecraft's my favorite game.
Yeah, that's his favorite game. Elliot's down here on her phone, I think, right now. She wanted her purse on. But yeah, so the goal is to finish the books. Okay, finished this one. It took me like 43 minutes, so just about what it said it was going to take. It is now 10 o'clock. 3.5, like, again, I feel like I said it before, the noir thing, not 100% my thing, and it very heavily leans into that. I was curious about the world. I did think the sort of paranormal aspects and stuff were very interesting. However, I think the way that everything wrapped up, not that it was a bad way to wrap it up, but there's so much in here that just sort of seems nonsensical. And I don't think I was able to follow that in the right way. Like the way that things go from point A to point B to point C, not making the most sense to me. Like it doesn't feel like it actually goes from point A to point B to point C. Like it jumps around. It's very random. And I don't see myself reading another 11 books of this because it's a 12-book series. So 3.5 stars, like it was fine. Not really my thing. So now I have the last half of Before the Coffee Gets Cold to read, and I have my Bookly app saying it's going to take like an hour and 30 something minutes, and I technically have like an hour and 20 before like I had started reading before. So we're gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna finish the book, but I might be cutting it really, really close. Okay, just like that, I have finished. The lighting over here, not so great. Maybe we should try over here for now. I finished it. We're about 30 minutes later than my 48 hours. I'm counting it. I don't know exactly how long I read for this entire experiment. I just added it up because I was curious. So technically we've been doing this for 48 hours of trying to read as much as possible. Obviously the goal for a lot of people is like 24 in 48. That is almost impossible to do when you have kids and things like that. But I read for a total, like from my Bookly app, of like actual actively reading time, 10 hours and 15 minutes. That's quite a bit to do in like 2 days, basically, especially for me. But I did finish this one slightly over time, but we're counting it. I'm giving it 5 stars. Thank God we had something that was like actively really, really good for this, because everything else has just been fine, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Some books are gonna be like that, but I absolutely love this. I cried at one part. I feel like that was one of those things that like, you hear about this kind of thing and you hear it's gonna be very like heartfelt, heartwarming, a tearjerker, all that kind of stuff, and like I don't usually go for books that are only tearjerkers. Like I will never read A Little Life, like that is just not my thing, but based on everything else I heard about and the fact that it had that like sort of sci-fi fantastical time travel element and they did it phenomenally, I absolutely loved it. I will say I feel like it eases you in. There's 4 different stories here, but each one actually does get a little bit more tearjerkery. That's not a word. Throughout, you know what I mean? So each one feels a little bit like it gets you more right there. I don't even really want to get into like the last 2 really because they deal with heavier topics than the Alzheimer's and stuff like that. But yeah, I wonder if they put content warnings in this one too or not. It does say if you could go back, who would you want to meet? And I guess I can show you like the stories. So like the first one was the lovers. That was a very good ease into the story. And then we had husband and wife, the sisters, and then mother and child. And like, I do feel like based on, you get to know the characters who like work at the cafe throughout those stories, you do sort of see where this book is gonna go by that last story, but like at the same time, like, it was very, very good. Obviously there are also more from this author, and I don't know if they're at the same place or not. The next one looks like Tales from the Cafe, and it is from a cafe. The third one is Before Your Memory Fades, and the fourth one is Before We Say Goodbye. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be in the same sort of vein, and I did love this one so, so much. I definitely need to read those as well. And so, yeah, we read, or attempted to read, because one of them was a DNF, 5 books in 48 hours. And again, part of it was because of the fact that I was only reading things that were under 250 pages, even though, again, this one was slightly more because it is the hardcover version. That is really, really good. I don't think I've read this much in like a weekend in a while. So that is going to be it from me. Thank you guys so, so much for voting in the polls to make this video a reality, because this was all because of you guys picking the things that you did. And so again, just thank you for this. I had a lot of fun. And so if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I will see you then. Bye.